Hey guys, got another build for you. This is more of a meme build, and I don't highly recommend playing it unless you really like melee totems for some reason and you just want to see them slam everything, you know. But I did want to say that this deck, Wilma plus Coiling Whisper, it can make pretty much any totem build work very well. I mean, most totem builds work already, right? Like you can make even the bad skills work on totems. But if you want to play especially ballista totems, for example, you know, like Caustic Arrow of Poison Ballistas or something like that, with Coiling Whisper and Wilma, you can probably reach Poison Cap with like no investment at all. Because this build that I have, I'm using this thing because I wanted to make some melee totems, and it's not too bad. Like the damage, you know, is fine. It's not crazy, but this whole thing cost me about 10 divines to put together, except for Enlighten 4 that I stole from my other character. But you don't really need Enlighten. Like even without Enlighten, I have some mana, and you know, Enlighten 3 will be perfectly fine. And also you can just grab these notes for mana reserve, and you're gonna be good. But anyway, so let's run a map. Let's run a Citadel map. Now, this build isn't exactly very much suited for tier 17s. The defenses are a little bit lacking. So we're gonna have to roll quite a few maps to see what's what. Can't really run buffs because of Soul Eater. Generally that would have been pretty good. Less defenses, don't want to run that. Build's already not pretty squishy. We can run this, I think. Hopefully. Let's try it out. I am running an effect map, so you know it's gonna be a little bit tough, but hopefully we can do it. The playstyle is a little bit clunky for a couple of reasons. So first thing is that you gotta get your Soul Eater stacks right. So I have Leap Slam with the Hex Touch. That's how I'm getting my stacks. But once you get going, you know it's a little bit better because you have like more attack and cast speed. And then you know once you're going, it doesn't feel too bad. And against bosses, it's not clunky at all, because against boss you get 20 stacks, so you only really need to like hit them once every 4 seconds, and you know you're good. But basically, you know, this is a melee totem build, so they also sort of disappear. Well, they don't disappear, but they stop attacking if you go off screen. So that's partly why this build is a little bit more clunky than I would like. But on ballista totems, you know, you're not really gonna have this issue, or at least it won't be as bad. So it's gonna feel pretty good. We got temp chains on us, so we're slamming a little bit slower. You can also get action immunity for totems at least, but I think if you have it on yourself, then you know it still reduces your totem's speed as well. But anyway, let me focus on this fight because there's a lot of dodging in here, and I don't have like super good defenses, so you know I gotta pay attention. Yeah, where's my totems? Yeah, so I mean, you can invest into totem defense as well. I do recommend it if you plan on doing like tier 17s, because there's a lot of damage in tier 17s, right? So it could be good to invest a little bit more, but if you're playing ballista totems, then it's not going to really be an issue. It's just because these guys are constantly standing on top of the boss, right? So they're always getting damaged. But like this build, for being so cheap, you know, it performs pretty good. And like I've said, you know, this is melee totem, so it's not like it's the best choice. But for ballista totems, this deck is very, very good. Also, I mean, this boss doesn't really have that much HP, and there's like no defensive mobs on here. and we ignore early res because we're Inquisitor, so, you know, this was basically free. Oh, Cosmic Fragments, pretty good. Does this map have anything? Currency, I'll clear it later. But anyway, just sort of wanted to show you guys this deck, and if you're a totem guy, you can get a pretty good amount of DPS just from these two things. Of course, since I am using Dawn Striders, right, so I have a lot of free sockets. That's why I have pretty much the best possible setup for this thing. People are also using Bladefall for, you know, Hex Touch, but I have 6 sockets available for me, so, you know, I just used everything, and I wanted to do it on Leap Slam, so I don't need to, like, you know, reserve extra mana. And if you're playing totems, you also have a lot of free sockets because you're using a bow, right? So you can have a frenzy setup with like returning projectiles and pierce. Actually, probably don't get returning projectiles because you might not apply. Well, the duration might not expire fast enough if you just continuously shoot, right? So just probably get frenzy with a bunch of pierce, and you know, on you pretty much just get poison capped from 450 increased attack speed on your ballista totems. And yeah, that's probably about it for today. Now for the next video, I do have something planned. Not gonna tell you what it is. It's gonna be a very familiar skill to all of you. Oh, but we'll see how that one turns out. Hopefully it's gonna be good. But anyway, I guess, I mean, I can cover the tree. Maybe one of you will try to play this. So basically, you just take all the staff nodes. Staff nodes are super fucking strong, and you cap your crit basically just from the staff nodes. And then you get like martial prowess on here because accuracy is an issue. That's why I'm also using Replica Hina Coruscant. Very solid, very cheap, and well, obviously the anoint is a couple of divines, but for a couple of chaos you can have pretty much accuracy cap. I am also using global accuracy rating here on gloves because we're still missing a little bit against bosses. I think I have about 94%, so my plan was to get precision after the next actually I was gonna swap out these nodes for mana reserve so I can slot in precision because it's more damage. So, you know, if you get to 92, get rid of these and get mana reserve from this thing. But basically, you know, just sort of Inquisitor tech that I really like to use. Glorious Vanity over here for Corrupted Soul, and then, you know, you basically have double your region because you split the damage. Of course, that does mean that you're going to be a little bit weaker against chaos damage. If you are very worried about chaos damage, you can also grab 30 chaos damage does not bypass energy shield, right? Maybe swap some points around or something. But the build, you know, it didn't cost much. If you for some reason want to play this, you know, you can. There's nothing really crazy on here. This staff, the fracture itself cost me 1 divine because it's on a spell-based staff, so I just spammed essences. Because the war staves, the fractures on there are like 5 or 7 divines, so I just ended up, you know, crafting this with just some essence spam. It did take a while. I think I spent about 3 divines on essences themselves, but I mean, you know, ultimately it was cheaper than buying a fractured war staff. And I also have spell block, which, you know, is good against bosses if you're worried about that. You can also grab these nodes for more block. Pretty solid. I did have these in my POB, but I ended up just going for more damage. But obviously, you know, for 5 nodes you can get a good amount of fizz block and a little bit of armor for mapping, which is nice. Potentially, you know, some totem defenses if you want. Sadly, because we are constantly leap slamming and we have like a million crit, we can't really make use of the 60 crit multiplier. But if you come up with a different sort of setup, you can use that. Generally, this node is very strong on like mines because you don't actually deal damage yourself, like you don't crit. So this is permanently active. And like I said, if you have a different setup, you can do that. And I also chose Leap Slam of Groundbreaking because it has more AoE, so I don't need to aim as good, right? It does have a much smaller range, but that's fine. We should Leap Slam like a million times a second, right? But yeah, other than that, you know, just sort of sort of just grab life, grab some more effect, grab some resistances, and yeah, that is it. I did craft this Stygian belt myself, but obviously can get it on the ring. I just didn't think about it when I was making the items for the build. But yeah. Oh, and you can also get the helmet with reserve if you want for a little bit more something, a little bit more life maybe potentially, or free up some mana as well. But yeah, that is about it for today, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye bye.